Okay, good evening, everybody. Councillors who are here with us and those who are joining us via Zoom or Teams. We have Mayor Rose joining us from Ottawa and Colin, the town manager, as well. Laura's joining us from, what's the name of that street there?
Windsor Crescent, Florida.
Yeah.
No, not
Laura's
Florida.
driving us from her street, and
Yeah.
and the rest of us are here. So we've got a fairly small agenda tonight, but who knows what can happen or how much discussion goes on. So we're going to get started from here. So first is we're going to call the meeting to order, which I guess I've just done, and adoption of the agenda. Is everyone okay with the agenda as presented?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How come you shook your head at me?
Good.
So we need a motion? Yeah. So can I have a motion to adopt the agenda as presented?
I so moved.
Moved by Councillor White, seconder.
I'll second.
Second by Councillor Hewlin. I gotta try to recognize him now with his hair showing, not his hat.
No, hatless today.
Okay, so it's moved. Motion carried. Now, oh gee, all in favor?
Aye.
Whoops.
Aye.
Contraminded. Okay, just make sure. Motion carried. Okay, the approval of the minutes from the public meeting of council on January 27th, 2023. You need a motion to approve those minutes. Moved by Councillor Tiller. Second. Second by Councillor White.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Matters arising from the minutes. Are there any matters arising from today's minutes? Not today's meeting, but January 27th. What's that?
I don't know if this is the time to bring it up or not.
The January 12th ones? No, we might have to wait on those under. We put that under maybe unfinished business when that comes up. No. Where? Nowhere. Planet. Okay, we'll put that under planet. Okay, so far I've been doing really well. Got everything wrong, but the clerk is here and straightening things up. No. All right, next we have proclamations and delegations, and we have had a couple of different proclamations for this month. The first is, of course, February's Violence Prevention Month. And I'm sure people are aware of our town's stance when it comes to violence, that we are a zero tolerance of violence in any form, and working as hard as we can to make sure that everyone's aware of the impact of violence and the supports that are available for people who are victims of violence who happen to be in our community. So I think that's a really important, this is a very significant month, a very important one. And, you know, February is also Valentine's Day, which for many people seems to be a wonderful thing. And I'm only pointing that out in case anyone wants to be reminded. But for others, it's not always a wonderful, happy time. For people who live in unstable relationships or unhealthy relationships, it can often be a time when there's violence happening. So we need to be aware of those things. And again, thank you to those people in our community who provide violence prevention awareness and so on. Also a reminder that February 22nd is Stand Up Day, stand up against violence and bullying. And you're encouraged to wear pink on that day. And so we would encourage everybody to try to remember that. Secondly, we have National Heritage Week. And National Heritage Week is February 20th to the 26th, so that's upcoming. And we would encourage people to get involved in any activities that you see, whether they be activities in the town or activities online. Any other proclamations or delegations? Okay. We'll move now then to committee reports. And I will pass it over to Councillor White for the Finance Committee report.
Thank you, Susan.
You're welcome.
Welcome everyone online. The Finance Committee met on February the 6th, 2023, and the following items were recommended for council approval. Item 1, property tax, requesting approval for property tax write-offs in the amount of $14,952. I so move.
Moved by Councillor White, seconder. Second by Councillor Tiller. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Item number 2, water and sewer tax, requesting approval for water and sewer tax adjustments in the amount of $2,657.18. I so move.
Moved by Councillor White, seconded.
Second.
Second by Councillor Aylward. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
Item number 3 is our business tax, requesting approval for business tax adjustments of $601.50. I so move.
Moved by Councillor White, seconder.
I'll second.
Second by Councillor Yulin. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item number 4,
Motion
expend
carried.
one
I'll
terribly
wait for
sorry.
Councillor Yulin. I didn't see him vote. I should have said Councillor Martin.
Aye.
Item number 4, expense check listing January 2023. Requesting approval to pay expense check listing for the month of January 2023 in the amount of $331,787.91. I so move.
Moved by Councillor White, seconded. Second by Councillor. Oh. Councillor Tiller beat you to it.
Okay, I'm good with that.
Just start to raise your hand early now because you're just a delay where you're up and out of it. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Item number 5 is approval to travel RGM College of the North Atlantic, requesting approval for Mayor Rose to travel to St. John's to attend College of the North Atlantic Annual General Meeting on February the 13th, 2023.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I'm going to step away from the table virtually from my computer because I'm in conflict there, staff.
Right, sorry about that. I should have realized that too. I was busy trying to figure out when I say question. Okay, let's go through that again.
Okay, item number 5, approval to travel RGM College of the North Atlantic, requesting approval for Mayor Rose to travel to St. John's to attend College of the North Atlantic Annual General Meeting on February the 13th, 2023. I so move.
Moved by Councillor White, seconder.
I'll second.
Second by Councillor Yulin. Question? You what?
Sorry, I'm going to speak against the motion, not because I'm against travel, but I have no idea what a College of the North Atlantic would host an AGM in St. John's. The headquarters are in Stephenville. And that's, as a councillor in this town, it feels like slap in the face, to be honest, when the headquarters is right there. And they're going all the ways to St. John's to have a board meeting. And for that reason, I'm gonna say no, because it feels like an insult, to be honest, on the college perspective, to host it in St. John's when we have a facility here and the resources to handle it ourselves.
Any other comments? Do I have to?
I would agree with, I will vote in approval of the motion, Deputy Mayor Fowler, but I would agree with what Lenny said about the headquarters. I guess I could say that as far as the tax dollars goes, that it's cheaper, I guess, for one or two to go from here than it is for the crowd to come out from St. John's. But as far as I'm concerned, they've taken too much away from us already when it comes to positions and jobs and everything else. So I agree with Lenny on the motion, but I will say that I will vote in favor of it. And I would ask that Mayor Rose at that meeting bring up the fact that we need to have the meetings out here and that we need to get some of our programs back.
Thank you. I'm gonna pass the chair to Councillor Tiller and speak as well, if that's okay. Is that okay? I'm going to vote against this motion as well, for the reasons that were discussed, obviously. I think that's something that we've kind of lost sight of a little bit as a council in our community, and we need to start pushing that again. Either we are the headquarters or we're not. But if we are headquarters, then we should headquarter, which I don't think is happening at all. I think the majority of people who work for headquarters now, particularly on the more senior level, are out of Stephenville more than they're in Stephenville, and I think that's a shame. But also, I think it's budget time, it's tight times, and we're looking to be fiscally responsible as we have been and as we will continue to be, I'm sure. But I'm not really sure what attending an AGM for the College of North Atlantic is really going to do for us. I don't see it doing a heck of a whole lot. It's one voice at an AGM, and you know, we can talk about meetings and talking to other people, but I'm not sure that that's really going to do anything. So in light of that, I'm going to vote against them. Oh, you gotta, wait, I gotta take my chair back.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Councillor Tiller. Okay.
Okay. I do know that the board used to travel around the province in Labrador, and they used to do that all the time. But at this time, where we're in the, I guess, the midst of doing new courses and the hydrogen issue that's going on, and they're going to be involved with that, I think they should have held it in Stephenville at this particular time. I think it would been a great, I don't know, I think it's nice that the board would come out at this particular time, which would be very beneficial for the town of Stephenville. And I kind of like sit on the fence, but when I balance the two, but I'm going to have to probably say no to the travel as well.
Okay. Are there any other comments?
There was a lot of good points made. The only thing I would say regarding the travel to the AGM is if we don't have a representative go to the AGM, it kind of puts us out of the loop in regards to what CNA plans to do or lack thereof. I think we can ask the question why they decided not to have it here in town. But I think by not sending a representative to the AGM, unfortunately, could A, send the wrong message, and B, kind of further us from the insight on what the plans are for the new programs or what's down the line for CNA. So
I think you're right. Councillor Yulin, I would agree with you on that. Someone needs to represent us at that meeting.
I would disagree with you, but anyway, that's okay. Because that's not where anything's going to happen, but anyway.
Well, based on what he's saying, I would feel like I should change my vote.
What do you feel?
Because I didn't take into consideration what he's saying that.
Oh, I think everybody had good points. I mean, I actually didn't even think about what Councillor Tiller had said until he said it, and it is a good point. And I agree with what Laura said, that we should ask the question on, you know, if, as well as what Susan said, that, you know, if we're headquartering, then why aren't we headquartering here? So all good points.
Yeah.
Okay, I won't belabor it.
Gotta get the vote.
So, pardon me?
Have a vote.
We gotta do the
So I'm
vote.
going to call for vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Contraminded?
Aye.
Aye. Meyer was
4.
yes, so 3 yes. and
Yeah.
2 contraminded, so does that carry then?
Does
Yes,
that-
motion
oh.
carried.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
Madam Chair, I'm back. I just want to say I will take a clear, strong message to the Board of Governors about the comments, the great comments of council and the validity of the question that was discussed and debated.
okay, good, thank you. Okay, Councillor White, back to you.
Item number 6, procurement for engineering services, requesting approval for the procurement of engineering services for the YMCA project, contribution agreement, climate change challenge fund, CCCF, and low carbon economy leadership fund, 2018 to 2024. I so move.
Moved by Councillor White, second.
Second.
Second by Councillor Tiller.
Question, if I could, Madam Chair.
Yeah.
I just want to say that this is a wonderful project for the town of Stephenville. The YMCA, one of our recreational facilities owned by the town of Stephenville, is going to receive over $500,000 upgrade to switch out from burning fuel to electrical, which will actually decrease the cost and increase the sustainability of that facility. But it shows leadership on all levels of government, both federally, provincially, and municipally, that we are targeting towards our goals of the 2050 target to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. And it actually aligns with the Partners of Climate Protection that we are signed up. And it just goes to show that we are here in both the manager and myself at a sustainability conference. But in addition, we have had several meetings with different federal government departments about green initiatives that will actually help the town of Stephenville on all levels of development and growth as we move forward.
Right, you are. Any other questions or comments on that? Okay, we'll call the vote then. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Any late items?
No, I don't have any.
Okay, everything's good there. Then we come to planning and traffic, and how are we gonna do that?
I think Tristan, Councillor Yulin, would you do planning?
Absolutely.
Okay, thanks.
I'll pass it over
You're
to
very welcome.
Councillor Yulin then, and, do you want a paper copy, or can you see what?
I think I can make do with what I got here.
Okay,
So for Planning and Traffic Committee, the Planning and Traffic Committee met on February 6, 2023. Thank you, Brian. And the following items were recommended for council approval. Item A, 1 Carmen Place, BSG Eats / BSG Delivery. Request approval to operate a home-based delivery service out of the residence located at 1 Carmen Place. I so move.
moved by Councillor Yulin, seconder,
Second.
second by Councillor White. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Item B, 78 Bruce Boulevard, H.J. Skinner Company. Request approval to issue a permit to operate a home-based delivery service out of the residence located at 78 Bruce Boulevard. I so move.
Moved by
Second.
Councillor Yulin, second, second by Councillor Aylward. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
Item C, 253 Carolina Avenue, containerized sanitation. Request approval to issue a permit to build an extension on existing building 79 feet by 16 feet by 20 feet on left side and 79 feet by 24 feet by 20 feet on right side of building on the property located at 253 Carolina Avenue, subject to Service NL approval. I so move.
Moved by Councillor Yulin, seconder,
Second.
second by Councillor Tiller. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
And that concludes the short agenda unless there's a late item.
I don't think there's any late items for that. Is there, or is there one?
I'd like to bring one forward.
Okay,
Requesting that motion 2327 traffic no left turn passed on January 12th, 2023 that temporarily prohibited a left turn from Glant Street onto West Street, heading towards Kippens, be rescinded immediately. I so move.
Moved by Councillor Tiller, seconded. Seconder,
I'm gonna second that.
second by Councillor Yulin. Anyone question?
I'll speak to it. Over the last several days since we've implemented this, there's been several complaints from parents at the school, from residents, from pedestrians to traffic, and I think the spirit of what we tried to do here on January 12th was absolutely correct in keeping everybody safe. But I think we need to go back to the table, because I think the prescription we've prescribed for the diagnosis made it worse. And I'll give you some examples. Vision parking is now being used as a turnaround. There's been complaints of speeding both ways on Viking Terrace, people making a right onto West Street to go into the dirt lot by Golden Gifts just to turn around and come right back out on West Street and impeding traffic on that dirt lot. I did have a conversation with the school this morning to see what it has been, and they have said the last couple of days there haven't been many complaints. The first day there was, but there's a lot of unhappy people. And not the school's word, but mine, and I think kind of reading between the lines of what they are saying is this has not rectified anything. As if anything, probably made it a little bit worse and more unsafe, because now you've got traffic coming at every angle of the street instead of just a left turn. I do know the school council is meeting tonight. This is on their agenda about this left turn and what their response to it will be. And I have been informed that the school is also trying to find ways to mitigate traffic on their own lot. So for that reason, I'm going to ask that we rescind immediately what we did on January 12th, respecting the health and safety of everybody, and the spirit of what we did was absolutely correct. I just think we didn't quite get the prescription right this time. And I'll be the first one to admit I voted yes for this motion when it first came up, thinking it was right. I've since changed my mind on that and why I'm asking for it to be rescinded. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else want to comment on?
I would like to speak if I could, Madam
Okay.
Chair.
Yeah.
I can wait if you want to bring in another counselor ahead of me, but.
Oh, you go ahead, and then Councillor Yulin can go after that.
Yeah, so a couple of clear points here I'd like to make is that, first of all, the decision wasn't made in the spirit of council. It wasn't a Christmas adventure on Main Street. This was a decision to mitigate the potential of a child being hit, possibly injured or killed. And I'd just like to bring the gravity of this decision to the table. I'm up here in Ottawa now. The big news story was some children got killed in the daycare at LaBelle, and that was an out of control driver. I've watched TV about children being killed in the earthquake in Turkey. That's outside of our control. That's environmental, and earthquakes are very hard. But this is an intersection that had some very serious concerns, a lot of close calls. And there's been a lot of work done by our management team, working with the RCMP, working with the school principals. And I guess what kind of maybe accelerated some of the issues with this intersection was when the no left turn came into place, the light happened to go out and we had to put up a four-way stop for a day or two. And that really had a lot of people, challenged with that intersection. But at the end of the day, Viking Terrace is a public road. The RCMP controls speed on that road. The challenge would, and I did get a call from the owners of Vision Atlantic that was challenging that people used their private parking lot to go up through. But remember, when management brought this forward in front of council, this wasn't a permanent decision. This was a temporary measure. That dangerous intersection could be a little bit more safe by not having that left turn. And not everybody likes change. And remember, this is not a permanent change. This was a temporary change so that when the snow comes off of the street, we would have that sidewalk removed and it would be moved down line in a very safer area, because it is a very, very busy intersection. And management did some homework with the RCMP, with the school principal. And, you know, the last thing I would want is to have it rescind and changed, and a week or 2 weeks from now, we have an accident where somebody is hurt, some child is hurt. I'd rather inconvenience some person that might have to go a different route to get back home towards Kippens than to hurt a child. But I think it's important also maybe to validate some of the research and the work that was done by our manager, Madam Chair, on this, and working with the RCMP to validate on that decision that was made by council. And remember, I can't reiterate it enough that this is just a temporary measure.
Okay,
So
Thank
when
you.
we voted in the beginning on that, was there a date given that it would be changed back in May? Was it May or was it April?
Well, whenever the snow and the conditions would allow us to put in a new crosswalk down line. So that, let's say it's May.
Yeah, well, the reason I voted for it was because of everything that you said, and also for the fact that it is only temporary. And I don't know if the people are aware of that.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to allow Councilor, excuse me, Yulin to speak now.
I voted for it as well. I was hoping that it was going to kind of remedy some of the issues that we were having. We travel West Street and Glant Street quite a bit during the workday. And I've also talked to a few members with the local detachment with the RCMP. And unfortunately, by putting the left turn in, it seems to have created a lot more traffic violations in different areas surrounding that street light. I personally myself have witnessed cars pull into the dirt lot and back out onto the road onto West Street. I've witnessed cars drift through Vision Automotive's parking lot, not at a sensible speed. I've actually had a company truck that was cleaning a driveway on Viking Terrace that backed out and was almost clipped by a speeding vehicle. And the Hanson Highway intersection, unfortunately, appears to have gotten worse as well because of it. Everybody's points, I think, were really good, and even though the measure is temporary, speaking to a couple members with the local detachment who do traffic, I think in the long run, it's going to produce more harm than it is good. I agree with what Mayor Rowe said. I wouldn't want to see someone get hurt because of it, but at the same time, by shifting the traffic from a public main road to a public residential road, I think we just, especially with so many private drives backing onto the road, I personally just wouldn't be comfortable with leaving it as is, especially after talking to a couple members with the detachment that have said they've noticed some completely different traffic violations occurring now because of this no left-hand turn. I think at our next planning meeting, we have to go back to the table and evaluate maybe a different measure on what we can do with regards to helping mitigate this until we get a permanent solution in place. But just from my own personal experience from traveling that road so much, I've witnessed a few freaky things with regards to traffic. Unfortunately, I was under the impression as well that maybe we were going to create some better change, but in the short period of time that we've implemented this change, from what I can see, we've, there's some drivers on the road, no doubt, that shouldn't be on the road, But when I witness traffic pulling out and then backing into a main intersection, people are constantly viewing trailers or automobiles at Vision Automotive, and we see cars pull in and go sideways. It's just, I think it's going to be a matter of time before we get an accident somewhere else.
Thank you. I'm gonna pass the chair over. Here, let him take that. I'm probably gonna tick everyone off now with some of these statements, but here we go. Certainly I agree with everything that I've heard, and I was uncomfortable with the decision when I was at the meeting, and I've been kicking myself for voting yes when I was uncomfortable. I never felt that it was the right decision. I think sometimes, while we can say we've researched and stuff, I think sometimes we can also kind of have knee-jerk reactions, and particularly if somebody sees a child almost get hit or get hurt, or a child or an adult. But certainly a child is also a frightening thing. But the reality is we have intersections with lights and they're busy, and as parents, we have a responsibility to teach our children how to safely cross roads, and until they're comfortable with that, we have a responsibility to safely cross with them. One of the things that we teach children is that the crosswalk is the place to go, and there are crosswalks there to be followed. We can't control a driver who doesn't follow the rule any more than we can control a kid who darts across quickly. But I would contend that that primary school and that intersection have been there for 30 years. I don't know how long they've been there. And someone saw a child almost get hit, and suddenly we changed everything. And I think we need to be careful about that. I think there are other ways, and it might be about talking to the school about safety, reminding, the police officers that are assigned to the schools to talk a little bit more about traffic safety, to remind parents about traffic safety as well. But if we're going to try to make every intersection safe and isolated and insulated for every pedestrian, then that's an impossible task. So we really have to just, I think, remind people to drive safely and drive defensively, particularly in school zones. There are speed reduction signs, and we do have an RCMP force who I'm sure could be in those areas. So I'm kind of in support of rescinding the motion as well. Any other comments? I think Colin had one, but no, you go ahead.
For me, it was always an issue, even when I went to school there.
Yeah.
There was a lot of children who got hit because they came across in front of what was going store, or what now is the where they used to have a chicken burger across the street as well.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like the parking lots, instead of having two separate parking lots, it seems as if we just should have had a parking lot, one spot where everybody picked up their children. That would ease the pressure of all the children, only the children who are walking, and then would come in, contact with crossing at the lights, right? So it's a very difficult problem. I would say if we went back to the way it was before, we're still going to need our CMP to be there, because people are just going to ignore everything as is. Like, they just want to get through the light and they're going too fast. So I think that we really need more presence with our CMP being there when the children are getting out of school, and to make people slow down, because it's only by seeing a car there that people will actually do what they're supposed to do. So if we rescind it back, I would like to see the RCMP be very, very present at the times when the children are leaving school.
Okay, thank you. Colin, would you like to speak?
Yes, thank you very much, Council. This is a process of about 10 months, which we've tried to be able to find traffic calming measures in this area. Initially, we tried to be able to engage with the school board to be able to make those changes, and unfortunately, they didn't want to make those changes. So we have to be able to, and this is a part of a process. So we'll try to find the safest and the best location for crosswalks. I don't think the locations as they are now are safe. And we really have to look at some point in the very near future, buying a new traffic light system that allows flashing greens on both ways, going left and right, going up Gallant. So that would be the hope. The thing is now we've when we look at that location, we've had multiple vehicle accidents in the last 6 weeks in that intersection, and I've really looked at that intersection. I've been down there, I think, before the recommendation was made to be able to watch how many buses turn or vehicles turn, and the potential danger there. And I think it is a dangerous area. I've been engaged with, I talked to the RCMP and I talked to the school principal. The latest I had from the school principal yesterday was that the biggest issue was that because the light went down on Monday and Tuesday, that what happened was it was very confusing when this was implemented because there was a four-way stop in place, and that created confusion. My latest was talking to the principal today, who said that that was an issue, but it seems to be calmed down now and it should be fine. So I in my opinion, some mechanism has to be put in place. We are working on a longer term solution for this that's going to require the presence of a traffic engineer to be able to look at this on that whole very busy street. But there has to be some measure there, in my humble opinion, to be able to protect and keep children that are crossing, whether they cross by themselves or whether they cross with their parents. But it is a dangerous crossing.
Okay, thank you.
Can I ask a question for clarification?
Yep.
If the school board was not interested in not having a no left turn and no traffic engineer was consulted, where did the idea come from?
No, it's not that the school board wasn't interested. The school board will meet tonight, the local school board. It was the wider traffic calming measures that we looked at in the summer to be able to see how we would do possibly one-way traffic in and out of that location, to be able to move the positioning of the crosswalks. But we can move the positioning of the crosswalks. The thing is that the fence that runs along West Street has to be able to be crossed in certain areas, and there has to be accessible sidewalks put into place to be able to pick up from the edge of the sidewalk into the school area, and that's it. Again, this is in consultation with the RCMP and the school principal, so that's where it came from. We can't really go into engaging a traffic engineer in the same way that we haven't engaged a traffic engineer when we looked at placements of crosswalks on Main Street. So if that's the decision of council, that we engage a crossing engineer or a traffic engineer, then we'll do that. And I think that might be a good idea. But that's where we came from on this.
Thank you. Just one more comment from me is, again, we're in the process of looking at a structure or a restructure and putting appropriate people in appropriate positions. We might be well served to, when we're having our plan created, I think when we're looking at a broader plan, it might be easier to provide people with the why that certain things are happening, because there may be a number of things that will change at that time, and that this could be part of a bigger plan as we bring in our new plan for growth and so on, that we also include in that plan anything we have to do in terms of mitigation when it comes to traffic and safety, right? So, I'd be comfortable with waiting until we had people in place and look at the broader picture. Thank you, Lenny, again. No, I'm not allowed to share anymore, keep talking. Okay, are there any other comments? If there aren't, we're gonna call for a vote. If we can even remember what we're voting on, is to rescind the motion, right? All in favor
Aye.
to rescind, aye. Contrary-minded? Okay, it's tied,
No, it's 3-2.
3 and 3. What? Okay, I see. Okay, so motion defeated. Okay,
Madam Chair, if I could make a suggestion, the motion is defeated. There was some great discussion and a lot of safety issues because of the left-hand turn with traffic violations. But with the left-hand turn, I think it's making it definitely safer for a child to cross or the child and his parent. But maybe we could even look at additional measures to mitigate, maybe with our town enforcement to spend time there in the morning. While we're waiting for the pavement to clear, that we can get another temporary crosswalk in place. That would actually enhance the safety in that area and have a larger presence. I think it's more responsibility of our municipal enforcement as opposed to the RCMP, because they are very limited with their resources, and they would handle more of the traffic violations on other streets. And that would be a recommendation that I would have council consider.
okay, thank you. Okay, where were we? Under unfinished business, right? Oh, I lost my screen. Where'd it go? We are at bylaws and regulations. Sorry, folks, I've chatted so long, I lost my 1, 3, 3. Here we go. Oh, some password of that. Bylaws and regulations. Do we have anything under bylaws and regulations? Nothing? Unfinished business. Anything under unfinished business? Okay.
One
Oh.
thing, if I could speak on unfinished business, just 2 updates quickly. World Energy and Energy NL have done some great work on the promotion of wind energy and why it's so important for our region, for our planet. While we're in Ottawa here, every department we've met with this week, all the conference is all about net zero, about mitigating the impact of greenhouse gas emissions on the planet. And I have to say that we are in a very enviable position as a community to have such a large investment plan for Stephenville. This investment is scaled to be possibly the largest private investment in the history of Atlantic Canada. Also, a quick update. I've been getting updates that the bankruptcy lifting through the courts is progressing really well. It's anticipated that the final closure for Diamond and the Stephenville Airport Corporation should take place in the month of March, and that's not very far away. It is a process from trustee to creditors being paid to the superintendent of bankruptcies and the courts, but there are time bars associated legally on how bankruptcies are handled at this scale. But we wish both projects that they will get to their goals and objectives, because it will be very beneficial to not just our town, our region, our province, our country, and the world.
Excellent.
Good.
Thank you very much for that. That's good news. And March, as you say, is only next month, so that's not too far away. I'm not going to say March out loud too often in case it changes to April. But we know how these things tend to go, even though there are time bars.
Yeah,
But,
well, Deputy Mayor Susan and councillors and mayor, the lady from Peninsula was on there very adamant today, talking to Patty Daly about the wind and not allowing the windmills down in their backyard. And Patty did really well. Like, you know, he was asking her questions like, you know, why don't, you know, what is your reason for it? Blah, blah, blah. And he was kind of, in some cases, he was a little bit surprised that she was talking the way she was, because she more or less said, well, Flat Bay wants it, so they can have it. And oh, he said, you know, that's the way it is, you know, Flat Bay can have it. And it was a conversation that would be worth listening to, I guess, if you get a chance to listen to it. Anyway, there was an incident at our hospital this week. At our hospital, I don't know if, I guess, I don't know, Tom, if you would have heard of it, you might have. A baby had to be delivered, and the baby was my great-grandson.
Wow.
So Jeremy and Kelsey went into labor around 11:30, and Jeremy said, we're not driving to Corner Brook. So they went here, and the doctor on call called in Dr. McCumsky, of course, because he delivered Jeremy 28 years ago.
Wow.
So this is Jeremy's son, Aiden. So Dr. McCumsky came in and delivered the baby, and the baby was a little bit premature because she wasn't due till March 16th. So the ambulance came out to pick her up and the baby and took her in, and then Jeremy went in. So it looks like all is well with the baby and the parents, and everything went well. But it just brings us back to the point that, you know, if Jeremy or John Smith or whoever was in that position decided they were going to go to Corner Brook, God knows what would have happened on that road between here and Corner Brook. So it just brings you back to, you know, what we don't have the service here. Gander and Grand Falls are fighting right now. And I guess what's going to happen to us, we're going to be fighting for our surgical services. That's what we're going to have to be fighting for right now. And as far as the OB obstetrician gynecologist goes, Dr. Amber Murphy is finished in a year and a half. She won't be able to practice here. Hopefully she'll be able to go in Corner Brook. So this is a big thing that we're talking about here, that we're trying to get that service back. So just want all you councillors and the mayor and deputy mayor to think about that. That we're going to need to put a little bit more discussion into our discussions around our services. And now I don't know if you saw the news tonight, but the radiologist shortage in St. John's now is a worry as well. So
Yes.
Things aren't getting any better. You know, if they're a hard time getting radiologists in St. John's, how in the name of God they're going to get them to come here at the new hospital and do radiation? You know.
My understanding from my cousin, who actually lives in St. John's and went to her appointment for radiation to set up her radiation times, and she's going to be flown to Toronto.
Really?
Her radiation, as are a number of others, so many going to Toronto, so many going to Halifax, from what I can understand from her. All, of course, is going to have to be paid for.
Yeah.
And again, she lives right where the service should be, but the shortage is kind of dictating that, which is, you know, frightening and bothersome for people who would want to have some family support around them and won't be able to. So there's the crisis doesn't just continue, but it continues to get worse and worse. And that's, again, because all these services are connected. So if you have one specialist who leaves, then somebody else can't do their work either. And on it goes. So it's a very frightening situation right now, I think.
It is.
And Madam Chair, too, just to add to what on the healthcare file, what Councillor Aylward spoke on, is in our last couple of meetings with Minister Osborne and his executive team, when it comes down to the new health body that's being formed, and also with the Western Health Team, we have actually tabled that Stephenville now has to start planning for obstetrics. Our hospital design layout was built with obstetrics. because of low birth rate, low population, aging population. They've used those reasons why that service couldn't also be in Stephenville. But because we are now poised for a hyper development and growth in Stephenville, we have said both at the minister's level and both at Western Health's level that they need to start planning now, because now we're going to have young families, young people, and our birth rate will increase. And now it should be the justification why the Sir Thomas Roddick Hospital and its design of obstetrics, when it was built, can now play a role into that delivery of service. And
Absolutely.
so we have been working on that on behalf of council and our residents, and I want to thank Councillor Aylward for that.
Absolutely. And I think the other thing is, and I could be wrong, every time I say that the Department of Highways takes the equipment off the road, at some point through the night, someone tells me that's not true, but if you drive at 3 o'clock in the morning, you wonder if maybe there's one little Kubota tractor or something out, but there's not a whole lot out there clearing the road. And so to me, there has to be a coordination of services too. If you're gonna say people have to drive to Cornerbrook to have babies, then you're gonna have to keep the roads clear at all hours.
Absolutely.
Right? Because we can't say one thing and then take all the equipment off the road and expect that anything's gonna happen except that babies are gonna be born on the sides of the road when cars are stuck or worse yet. So we got a long way to go.
I'd like to kind of piggyback on what you're all talking about, and that's the notes I had here tonight. It wasn't around the hospital file, but it was around regional services, and it kind of ties into what we're talking about, is making sure that as different communities within Bay St. George, we start to come together and collectively have a conversation around what our future looks like. Because it's not just us as Stephenville that's going to grow. It's every other community around us, which is also going to put more strain on the resources we have in our town. And I think it's vitally important now that all communities of Bay St. George, along with ourselves, sit down to the table. We start making sure our planning is in line, our services are online, our regional support structures are being supported properly, because we're going to grow together. And we all have to be on the same page, because if we're not growing together and we're not on the same page, it's going to get very cumbersome and very tedious. And any community out there that wants to help us on our fight with the hospital, we're open arms from me, because there's power in numbers, and the 7 of us around the table can speak about how important our hospital is, but we need every other municipality and LSD and unincorporated area in Bay St. George to start speaking with us as well, because this is going to benefit everybody, the potential growth that we have here.
Absolutely. Okay, thank you. Any other comments, questions, or updates? Okay, no other motions? All right, well, we're gonna move to adjournment then at 7:55. Can I have a motion from someone to adjourn?
Moved.
Moved by Councillor Aylward, and she tried to second it too. That's how quick she Moved by Councillor Aylward, seconder?
I said, okay, go ahead.
Okay, oh,
No, go ahead.
seconded by Councillor White.
Sorry.
She kicked Councillor Yule under the table. There's a big glass there, I can see. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Contraminded? Just check. Okay, motion carried. All right, good to see everybody. Thank you all for joining us, and we're done.
Great. Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor, for chairing the meeting.
See you when you get home.
Saturday afternoon.
Okay, safe travels.
Okay,
thank
safe
you.
Travels. Night. I gotta go look at more pictures now.